All right, guys, this is, I want to say episode 1, but it's really episode 2. We came out with our introduction video. Welcome to another podcast called Conversations Abroad. My name's Arhenis. I have my friend here, Josue, and I also have my other friend over here, Wesley. And we're gonna be your guests again.
What is this?
We're all on YouTube, and we're also now on Spotify as well. If this is your first time, you're going to hear about topics and conversations about the Christian lifestyle. And this podcast is kind of geared towards or created as thinking like a missionary. Whereas, what is your mission field? And it doesn't have to be on a different geographical location, but in your mission field could be your work area or in your school area or whatever. And we have brilliant minds that come together and we just talk and have a discussion.
All right, so I was thinking that, one of the biggest things that we could talk about, especially because we're all men in here, is how to have genuine friendships with men. We see it all the time where men tend to have more superficial friendships than women. So how about we discuss that a little bit? What do you guys think about that?
Wesley says no comment. Okay, so what I'll say is this, is that in the church realm, in the church area, it's funny to see when you go to a church and it's mostly females and you have these huge events, these conferences. And what I've learned is that, they say that women are more emotional and they're more social, and the guys, they're kind of more independent and they don't like to share their feelings. But I think contrary to that, I think men too could have a relationship with other men. They could have a godly relationship, and asking those questions, because life, it doesn't come with the handbook. You do not know, and we're figuring out things every single day. And I thank goodness for mentors and stuff like that, but also thank goodness for good friends. So that's kind of my take on it. I do notice that we live in a day and age, or it probably could have been to the end of the time, that women tend to be more cliquish with each other, and men could be like more independent.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things that I feel is that men tend to be more superficial, and we find that, like, when men talk, it's like about sports, and that's it stops there. Whereas women, when they start talking, they get deep in conversation. They ask each other that question, like, how are you doing? And they actually get into detail, like when another man asks you, how are you doing? Like, what's your response typically?
Obviously, guys, like, I'm doing good, but I think it has to do more with mental exhaustion. Mm-hmm. As I think when men get older, you're just tired a lot quicker, and also women are more emotional, so their conversations are very involved. And men, I think for men, it's more like I feel like for men conversations, they don't want it to weigh so much on their mind. So that's why it might be superficial, like you said. But hey, how you doing? Pretty good. All right, cool. Yeah, all right, whatever. And then obviously, if you talk to a guy about sports or whatever, there's something in common because it's fun and they like it. That conversation can carry a little bit longer. But there is no giving of yourself. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I feel like as a man, you're giving of yourself throughout the day for your family. Yeah. To try to provide and all that stuff, all that mental, the mental drainage when it comes to a conversation with another dude. I think there's a mutual understanding where, how you doing? I'm good. Yeah. Okay. Judging by them, I'm good. I understand you made it through the day, stuff like that. That's kind of like the take the way I'm looking at it. But
Definitely. Yeah. And what about this? What do you guys think about, like, how sometimes there's also a cultural thing where, I know, especially being a Hispanic, you're taught like, oh, you're a man, you don't cry, or you're a man, suck it up, and this and that. And whereas, or even a child, like in my case where I didn't have a father growing up, so it was like, oh, you're the man of the house, but I was a little boy. So that puts this pressure on you. And then when you get older, you feel like, well, I'm a man, so I can't share that I'm struggling with this, or I can't share that I'm sad, or I can't share, whereas women, they do share those things. And when they share those things, they have those deeper bonds, So how do you feel? Do you think that that's a positive thing or a negative thing?
Yeah, I definitely, from what you were talking about, and it automatically comes to my head as when you talk and you express yourself, and you said that, in certain cultures where they told us not to cry. And this is actually one thing that you face a lot in Mozambique. In Mozambique is a culture where if you cry, then it's almost looked down upon. And they teach you to be strong and stoic. And for me, I like to go back to, okay, what is correct and what is not. And I always think about what's biblical and what are some good examples. And I think of, like David, a very good example. He cried. He even kissed Jonathan. He even was such a good relationship with somebody that they're friends, but they treated each other like brothers. And there's certain cultures that, men kiss. When I met my wife, they're from Italian descent. They kiss on both sides of the cheek. And me, I'm just like, oh, get out of here. I'm too macho for this. But I think, going back to what you said, I think there's a therapeutical, something therapeutic when you share something that's on you and you don't hold it inside for all your life. I think that we are created to share and to tell someone what's actually hurting us inside.
I think for men, you not so much where I want to be a little careful. Not so much that we need to be more like women. I think the men are fine. However, men need a safe place where they can share their, how they feel.
Absolutely.
They need that space where they could be like, okay, because they need to speak it out. They need to just let off their chest. Because I understand that growing up, I've always been taught it's not unmanly to cry. I grew up in like that. My dad was in the house. Even though my father isn't, I guess he's not extrovert. My father's more of an introvert, but he didn't express certain things, obviously, and I took kind of like that style because that's what I learned. But I think for men, it's more like what they consider their safe space. I think, and that's where they will, they'll like just let it out. Yeah. I feel like for men, they just need to understand who are those people in their safe space. They need to recognize who they can trust, and I guess make it something. That's how something they need to build something healthy. I just want to be careful. I don't want us to be like, oh, we got to be more like women. No, because men have to be men.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, I want to piggyback off of that because that's really good. And I think that when a man can put down those walls and become vulnerable in the sense of the things they're going through, the things they're struggling with, right? And you find other godly men like what I have. I'm blessed because I have two amazing godly friends that I know I could pick up that phone and call you guys, and you could pray over me, give me advice. And when you find that as a man, it's a good thing, because then, like you said, you could be vulnerable. You're still a man, but you're being vulnerable, and then you have that accountability partner where we need that. Because I feel like we're the biggest target when it comes to the enemy target in the home. Because if he gets rid of the man, then that's the head of the home. Yeah.
One example that comes into my mind, I was speaking to this man. I was doing a video project, and the video project was like for a therapy counseling thing, and the man that was he was talking to me, and he was expressing that his dad never used to talk to him when he used to go home, and a lot of times that's like that. What is it? What do they call it? Like, not baby boomer. I guess that baby boomer mentality. Like, okay, you gotta grow up tough, and so on and so forth. But what he said to me, I was just like so devastated, because he said that when he used to come home as a kid, and his dad used to come home from work at night, he said his dad didn't say one single word. He just went straight to his basement and did not say a word to him. And once again, you have your inner circle, you have your people and you don't want to confess or give your dirty laundry to everybody. But there's also another a face of communication and being social, is that you're investing in your family. And sometimes having a hard heart, being prideful, sometimes you don't even communicate to your child, and they're going to grow up to a certain age and they say, well, you taught me nothing. You were never even there for me. And that's based on communication. That's affirming to your son, like, hey, listen, I know what you're feeling as a teenager. I was there. I know you feel sad. You need someone there that just affirms for you, so you realize that, hey, I'm not a superhuman, that it's not something that's out of reach. I'm human too. So I think that's another aspect of why we should be like, as men, we're transparent, saying like, hey, I've gone through issues too, and this is how we've done it.
I have a question for you, Josue. Now that obviously you have a son. How old is Josiah?
He's 8 years old.
He's 8. So my question is, I have a son. He's 5 months. What is your approach with your son? Like, what do you want how do you envision your relationship, to look like?
Definitely. No, I think that's a good question. And my biggest thing is that I want to be able to have such a relationship with him that if he's struggling with something, if something happens in school, if he has a question, about, if he questions even God, like, does God really exist? I want him to have that trust and that comfortability to come to me. And as a man who grew up in a strict home with just a single mom, at first I was too strict. And I did it, to protect him. But now I've learned that if I do that, he's going to build up a wall. And if he builds up that wall, he's not going to feel like, oh, I could go to dad with anything. So I've had to lay back, kind of go back and show him grace, that he's messed up before. And I'll literally say, you're grounded. And then 5 minutes later, I'll walk in there and say, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to show you grace. And I'll take that opportunity to teach him that, hey, you know what? You can come to me with anything. And if you come to me, it's always going to be a better result. If I find out another way, you may get a bigger punishment, a bigger consequence. But if you come clean, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to pray with you and encourage you. And we've had some tests already in that area.
I think that's awesome, because even with my daughter, I tell my wife, hey, we could get upset. Obviously, kids will be kids. We'll get upset, and we'll ground them, put them in timeout. However, I'll be like, no, what we need to do is give her the confidence to be able to tell us what she did. Amen. It's like, hey, what happened? What did you do? She will hide. She's like, she wouldn't want to tell us, but no, nothing's gonna happen. If you tell me what it is, nothing's gonna happen. We'll just talk about it or whatever. I just, like you said, I want to build that confidence, because I know growing up, man, there's some things that I've never told my parents to this day. And I'm 40 years old. I'm still don't want to explain that to my parents. If they see this, they're not going to see that. But honestly, you know what I mean? Because it's like this boogeyman. It's like, I'm going to get in trouble. So I don't want to build something like that for my kids. I want them to be able to feel confident enough, or confident they can tell. Obviously, we'll be disappointed on certain decisions. Let's say, for example, if something happens, but I want them to be able to come to me so we can help and work things out. Man, I had something else, but yeah.
No, but I'm glad you spoke about that, because you went into fatherhood, which also has to do with masculinity, and we want to encourage the viewers too that, like, listen, if that wasn't you, this is your opportunity to start changing that. Argenis, you opened up before about women's conferences and women's events and how they be powerful in churches, and we need more men to be active in ministry. We need more men to be in prayer groups, to be doing these events that women are constantly doing, because at the end of the day, we're the spiritual leaders. Men, if you're watching, you're the spiritual leader of your home, and if you're allowing your wife to, and not to take away from them, because they're women of God. I'm married to a woman of God, and I know both your wives are women of God. But at the end of the day, if we're allowing them to be in the driver's seat, then we're not fulfilling our job as a man, as a godly man.
That's good.
Yeah. I think we've hit up a lot of topics and stuff like that. And once again, I just want to reiterate that masculinity, when having that man-to-man interaction, for me, I think about accountability, that spiritual walk, and that saying, you're a product of your environment, is very true. Whereas if you're outside of the church and you're you're within your neighborhood, you're within your society, chances are it's highly likely you're going to be a reflection of that. So having that manly, bro or squad thing that's going on, for me, it kind of, the Bible says that iron sharpens iron, and that's the way I look at it when I'm with not just men but godly men. And I want to take that and kind of inspire others as well. I want to help out other people too. It's not just being inside of my godly circle, but I still need that accountability to kind of keep me in track. All right, that's a wrap for this podcast conversation. If you have any questions, drop a question down in the comment section. Ask within the topics of a worldly man or a Christian man. Why do we need that brother that's around us, and why do we need that iron that sharpens us? Or are you a person that likes to be alone? Let me know what you think. Give us your questions down below. I want to say thank you once again for tuning in and listening in, and we hope you tune in for the next episode. Take care. Thank you for watching another episode of Conversations Abroad. If you want to see our previous episodes, you could click on the thumbnail. If you want to see future content on what we provide, you could click on the subscribe button, hit the bell for further notification. Thank you for watching.